relative to mine.
All right. Thank you, sir. We will take questions now from the audience, starting to our left, your right. We'll start here. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Senator Cheryl Smith, Dallas Weekly.
Good to see you.
Good to see you, too. Earlier this year, you made an unprecedented move. You reached out to the black press. I would like for you to explain why you did that, and if elected, will the black press receive the same consideration and respect?
Well, I reached out to the black press because I have experience with my hometown papers, The Defender, The Crusader, The Citizen. There are a bunch of historically African-American papers in Chicago that, when I was in the state legislature, would cover stories that I was working on that the mainstream press did not cover. So if I was fighting a fight on juvenile justice issues, making sure that laws that treated juveniles who lived in public housing as adults, but juveniles who did the same crimes in the suburbs as juveniles, I might not get a story in the major papers, but I might get a story in the Chicago Defender. And my attitude is, if y'all were covering me when nobody wanted to cover me, then you should be able to cover me when everybody wants to cover me. I think that's the right thing to do, and that attitude and approach will continue when I'm in the White House.
Barbara Sierra, Managing Editor, WTKR News Channel 3 in Norfolk, Virginia. Good afternoon,
Good afternoon.
Senator Obama. Now, you are on the record for voting against funding the war in Iraq, yet you've conceded that military action is necessary at times to achieve the peace. My question is, yesterday, Senator Clinton suggested, no, actually she said, that she would shoot down Sudanese planes on the ground and in the air if they continue to rain terror on Darfur. What, if anything, if elected, would you do to put out this global hotspot?
Well, I think there's a fairly broad consensus among the Democratic candidates, at least, that instituting a no-fly zone in Darfur is the bare minimum that we can do to help to roll back the Janjaweed and some of the assaults on the refugee camps that still contain millions of displaced Darfurians in the region. More broadly, we're going to have to get a UN peacekeeping force on the ground. And one of the tragedies of Iraq has been that it has led to very little leverage in the United Nations and in the world community for us to mobilize to deal with other troubled regions like Darfur. So part of the reason that I want to begin getting our troops out, and why I've been pushing so hard since we decided to get in for us to end this fiasco, is that it will free us up then to go before the world community and say, we want to work with you, not against you, but we've got to bring an end to the genocide that's taking place. Now, that is going to take some time. We now have a Security Council resolution that permits 25,000 UN peacekeeping troops on the ground. We've got to right now focus on just getting those troops there. And a no-fly zone, as well as logistical support for those troops on the ground, can make a difference, at least in preventing increased bloodshed as we try to initiate a broader peace talks between the rebel groups and Khartoum. Last point I would make, we've got problems like this all throughout sub-Saharan Africa. And we can't wait until the genocide's taking place before we engage Africa. We've got to have an Africa policy that is active, that is involved, that is engaged, that is dealing with the healthcare infrastructure, that is dealing with the educational infrastructure, that is expanding trade opportunities for African nations, and that is holding African nations accountable for rule of law, anti-corruption measures, and so forth. Because if we're not a partner with Africa and we just wait until all heck breaks loose, then we're never going to have enough troops. And keep in mind, as tragic as what happened in Darfur is, we've had millions of people die in the Congo over the last 6 years. And it's almost not, if you asked the average American, they wouldn't know a thing about it. And that is a consequence of us not being consistently engaged. And we've got to understand it's not just a charity or a humanitarian issue, it is also a security issue. Because if you've got chaos and anarchy in Africa, terrorists will find a way to exploit that chaos and anarchy. That's where they're going to be based, that's where they're going to recruit, and we're going to have increased problems in years to come.
Tanya Francois, KSLA News 12 in Shreveport.